You wake up with a sore throat, you reach for medicine, you cancel your plans and get back in bed. It feels automatic, almost boring. But 200,000 years ago, getting sick could be a death sentence. No pharmacy, no hospital, no germ theory, just you, your body, and a group of people who had to decide whether you were worth saving. So what did they do? The real answer is far stranger and far kinder than you might expect. For most of the 20th century, scientists assumed early humans treated illness the way a pack of wolves treats a wounded member. Abandon it. Let nature decide. Survival of the fittest, they said, meant the sick were left behind. It made sense on paper. It also turned out to be almost completely wrong. The clue that broke this idea open came from a cave in northern Iraq called Shanidar. In the 1950s, researchers uncovered the skeleton of a Neanderthal man, now known as Shanidar 1. He was missing most of one arm. He was partially blind. He showed signs of a withered leg and severe hearing loss. By modern standards, he would have needed full-time care just to eat and stay warm. Here is the strange part. He lived like this for years, maybe decades. A man that disabled does not survive the Ice Age alone. Someone fed him. Someone helped him move. Someone protected him from predators he could not see or hear coming. The anthropologist Eric Trinkaus, who spent decades studying Shanidar 1's bones, argued that his survival was only possible through sustained, deliberate care from the people around him. Not for a few days, for years. Think about what that means. Compassion is not a modern invention layered on top of some more primitive instinct. It might be older than agriculture, older than language as we know it, possibly older than our own species. Why would evolution allow this? Wouldn't caring for the sick just drain resources the group needed to survive? That question sat unanswered for decades, until researchers started looking at the bigger picture instead of just one skeleton. Bioarchaeologist Lorna Tilley developed something called the bioarchaeology of care, a method for identifying disability and support in ancient remains. Her work, alongside colleague Alan Osger and others, examined skeletons from multiple prehistoric sites and found the same pattern again and again. Individuals with serious, long-term impairments were not outliers who died quickly. Many lived long lives, long enough for their bones to heal, remodel, and show clear evidence of survival well past the point where the injury alone should have killed them. Care, it turns out, was not charity. It was strategy. A small band of early humans could not afford to lose knowledge. An older member who could no longer hunt might still know which plants were poisonous, where water pooled in a drought, how to read a coming storm in the shape of the clouds. Keeping that person alive was not sentimental. It was practical. Groups that cared for their sick and injured did not just feel better about themselves, they passed on more. But care alone did not cure disease. So what did they actually do when someone came down with a fever or a wound turned red and swollen? Evidence suggests they treated it, not randomly, deliberately. Archaeologists have found traces of medicinal plants at Neanderthal sites, including yarrow and chamomile, both of which have anti-inflammatory properties still recognized today. Dental plaque recovered from Neanderthal teeth at Spy Cave in Belgium contained microscopic remnants of these plants, suggesting they were consumed intentionally rather than accidentally. A Neanderthal is not likely to snack on a bitter, non-nutritious herb by accident. Something told them it helped. Where did that knowledge come from? Trial and error, most likely, passed down the same way any survival skill was passed down. Someone got sick. Someone tried something. It worked or it didn't. The people who remembered what worked lived to tell others. This is where the story gets even more counterintuitive. You might picture early humans as constantly sick, picking up whatever they touched, dying young and often. And it's true that life was harder and shorter on average. But some diseases we think of as ancient plagues barely existed yet. Large-scale epidemics need large, dense populations to spread. Small, mobile groups of hunter-gatherers simply did not offer disease the same opportunity a crowded city later would. The historian and bioarchaeologist Sharon DeWitt has spent much of her career studying exactly this shift, using skeletal evidence from populations before and after the rise of agriculture and urban living. Her research shows a clear pattern. As humans settled down, built permanent villages, and lived closer to animals and to each other, certain diseases became far more common and far more deadly. Density created opportunity. Farming created malnutrition alongside abundance. The very things that let human civilization grow also gave illness new highways to travel. So, in a strange twist, some early hunter-gatherers may have been healthier, in certain specific ways, than the farmers who came after them. Does that mean prehistoric life was some kind of secret wellness paradise? No. Injuries went untreated. Childbirth was dangerous. A simple infection could still kill within days. Life expectancy at birth was low, dragged down heavily by high infant mortality, but those who survived childhood and avoided major trauma could, in some populations, live into old age. Old age surrounded by people who had a reason to keep them alive. That reason was not just love, although it likely was that too. It was memory. It was skill. It was the accumulated knowledge that only a living person can carry forward. Now think about what illness looks like for you today. You get sick, and within minutes, you can search your symptoms, order medicine, or book a video call with a doctor you'll never meet in person. It feels disconnected, efficient, but distant. Compare that to a small group in an Ice Age cave, someone crushing yarrow leaves by firelight, someone else keeping watch through the night so a fevered friend doesn't wake up alone. The tools have changed almost beyond recognition. The instinct underneath them has not. Every time you check on a sick friend, every time you bring soup to someone who can't get off the couch, every time a community rallies to cover shifts for a co-worker in the hospital, you are running a program that is, by conservative estimate, at least 60,000 years old, possibly far older. It survived because it worked. It kept the knowledge holders alive long enough to pass on what they knew, and it kept the group bound together by something stronger than convenience. So the next time you're sick and someone checks in just to see how you're doing, know that you're not just receiving kindness. You're standing at the end of a very long chain of care that stretches back through every winter your ancestors survived, back through cave floors and firelight, back to a broken blind man in northern Iraq who should not have lived and did. You reach for medicine when you're sick. Your ancestors reached for each other. In the end, you're doing the same thing they were. You just don't always notice it.